Hello? That is much better. Let's have some of that as well. Back on form with the audio issues. There should be some of this. Well, seems like it's going to be a quiet episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tavern Between Dimensions. I am DM Dan. And we are going to do some stuff and things. It has been decreed, and thus it shall be. Oh, that's why it's not working. I didn't turn on the right thing. Right. Is that? Oh, that's why it's not working. I didn't turn on the right thing. Right. Is that? Oh, that's why it's not working. I didn't turn on the right thing. Right, well, we'll stop that. Yeah, close enough. Close enough. Cool. So, hello, welcome. If you're watching this live, or if you're watching this in the war-torn futures. Yeah, it's going to be another kind of quiet one. I'm joined by these two lovely individuals. A rather striking Aquan sprite and a rather dapper young Lorivar lady. Let's turn that off, don't need that. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a power hour for me. I'm once again doing some more prep for Campaign 2, Elysia Rising, which is very going to be coming out very soon. Hopefully this weekend. I've said it, so I've got to stick to it now. But in the meantime, there is another video that I need to release, and that requires a lot of Hero Forge models. Something that's been a bit of a lifeline for me here on the channel. So while I'm doing this work, I'm going to also be just having a little natter about Blades in the Dark. And if any of you do happen to be in the chat and have any questions about Blades in the Dark, or want my thoughts on it, then feel free to ask. But otherwise, it's just going to be an hour of me primarily talking to myself. So, first things first, what do I need? Who am I working on? Let's save them for now. Secrets, spoilers. Secrets and spoilers. So yeah, currently working on a we've released the 5 Meet the Characters. So now we're doing a Meet Elysia, which is going to showcase all of the districts and the various factions. But more partially for my benefit, kind of need to know what everyone sort of looks like a snapshot of each of the various factions within the city, which is trying my best to kind of convey the factions in a nutshell through these pictures. I reckon I do. If I stretch that out. As always, we're being watched over by our Daisy. What's this happening? Ooh! Need to do that. Apologies, Sheldon. I did not have the chat updating. Hello. Hi. Right, yeah. You enjoy your D&D sessions. Right. Hello, Carl. I see you there. Words and things. So, yeah, Blades in the Dark. We have now successfully, recorded 2 episodes. And, yeah, I mean, where is this top? It's been pretty fun. Whoever decided to do a Blades in the Dark campaign for campaign 2, it's genius, actually. There it is. Right. No, that was the wrong person. Yeah, 2 episodes. Actually, ADHD at its finest. Carl, is the background music coming through? I'm hoping it is, but it might not be. It is. Marvellous. Marvellous. I would treat all of your little ear holes to another... Tell you what. I hope this doesn't open on me. Okay. This is ominous. If you're free, Carl, let me know, and then we'll just grab you on the channel to natter. But otherwise, I'll shrink that for now. Where was I? Yeah, we've played 2 episodes. It's very good. Blades, I quite like it, which is handy. It is good if the games master likes the game system that you're using. Slightly smaller booblies. Yeah. I'll tell you what she needs. One of these. I'm sniffing and sneezing. Okay, fair. Yeah. I mean, it is different. It is a different kettle of fish to D&D, and like for a number of pretty substantial reasons. There was a part of me that felt relatively comfortable kind of jumping into it for the first time, because of what we've done with like Shadowrun, which you know kind of runs in a similar way. I guess the main kind of big difference that again I kind of knew would be the case, D&D is very linear. That's what I've noticed. Like you choose to do a thing, you go and do the thing, you get treats for doing the thing, and then you kind of like rinse and repeat, and that's it. And like you roll a dice when you need to, like when something arises, when an issue arises, you roll the dice, and then it immediately kind of takes effect. And that's just not the case with Blades. You can, yeah, there's like wibbly wobbly, timey wimey time travel-y stuff, which makes it a very, very, very different kettle of fish. It's because, like, if you've ever done a heist in D&D, like a heist scenario, D&D, Pathfinder, you know, Dungeon World, whatever. So I would expect that you'll probably come away thinking, crap, if only I'd done X. Like, oh, I wish I could have done this. Like, oh, I wish I could have pulled that lever instead of, you know, whatever. But handily, Blades in the Dark, much like any kind of like good heist film. So I mean, for argument's sake, like Ocean's 11 or something. You can retroactively do stuff. So, you know, rather than saying, "Oh, I wish I'd done that," you can call flashbacks, and you kind of then go and tell the games master, "Oh, like this problem that you've thrown at us, I prepared for it in a very specific way, and this is how." And then maybe you do some rolls. Sometimes you don't even. You just say, "Oh, I prepared for this," and then you explain how you prepared for it. Yeah, it is great. Well, I mean, you're kind of right, Carl. It would be unusual to pull a bazooka from your undies. Notice I said unusual, not impossible. It's just, yeah, depending on how kind of difficult, unusual, extreme, the things you did in your flashback are, that kind of dictates how much stress you take, and stress is like a health mechanic, sort of. So potentially you could produce a bazooka from your undies. It would just be quite stressful. Yeah, very, very, very stressful. Oh, she's looking very bling, isn't she? Gonna give her a skirt. La-di-dee, la-di-da. So, these dapper individuals. That one? Do I want to go with that one? Yeah, let's go with that one. These are two Majani from the Ilnashi family, who are one of the factions in Blades. Carl knows all about them and can recite all of their lore off the top of his head right now, can't he? Let's go sandals. Yeah. Let's change the leggings though. Yes, the mechanic system is good fun. Like just being able to, like, arguably the bit that makes kind of heist films is exciting isn't, like, if you went to watch Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12, wouldn't you be mortified if I actually posted a link to a blog that you didn't know you've been writing? Like a false Hydra blog. That's what you think, Carl. You think you don't have a blog. But yeah, like when you watch those kind of like heisty films, I know I mentioned like Ocean's 11, but even like Catch Me If You Can or stuff like that. Not Catch Me. Well, I suppose Catch Me If You Can. Then yeah, you. Oh, what's my train of thought? Yeah, like you always have a planning scene. Like they'll always kind of let you in on how things were put together, but it always seems like you keep on jumping back to that point, right? Like where they might be all stood around a table with a low-hanging light or something along those lines, and that's kind of how it works in Blades. So it'll be like, oh, a guard's just wandered out, and stops in front of you and blinks a couple of times, and then rather than going, oh, roll initiative, you could be like, ah, I call a flashback, and then perhaps this is a guard that you plied with liquor the night before, in an attempt to, because you knew that he was going to be on this patrol at this very particular point, and then you're just kind of like getting ahead of the curve and like shaking them off. So you say you do that, and maybe you have to pay some coin in the future, like pay some coin in the flashback, or which is like gold. Or maybe you have to promise to do a favour, or maybe you have to make a roll to see if you successfully bribe this guard. And then based off your rolls in the past, that then immediately affects everything that happens in the future. And like, it's good because you don't have to plan everything out. Like, one of the things that was sometimes a bit slow with, say, Shadowrun, certainly like actual Shadowrun, was you felt like you had to prep for every eventuality, which means you very rarely got to do any of your mission. But that's just not the case here, which is nice. Yeah, it just allows for a better flow, and it makes me wonder, like, how easily transferable would that be to something like D&D? Like, what does D&D look like if you have players that are able to jump back and forth and retroactively update the present? Because like, I've got Keys of the Golden Vault on the shelf there, and like, that is the heist book. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see, like, how does that, like, if you implemented a flashback system, does that make it much more interesting? No, I think it probably would, you know. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Right, we'll save that for a sec. Yes, flashback is very good. Hello, other people in the chat watching. Hi. What else is good? Well, I'll tell you what's different. Is very, very different. And I'm still trying to figure out, because, you know, we've done 2 sessions. We've done like a full cycle so far, like a full gameplay loop. Trying to figure out if this is like a confidence and kind of knowledge thing. You know, I've got to figure out if it's something, will it be something that changes over time, or what? But in D&D, because everything is linear, like, as a DM, you can kind of go, we'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then this will happen, and then this will happen. So it's like you can very quickly, quite easily plan something out. And even if the players decide to go, like, off kilter, which is, let's be honest, is quite likely, like, the boundaries are quite set. You know, if a D&D party or Pathfinder party or whatever, a D20 party is in a dungeon, 9 times out of 10, unless you've got like high level spellcasters, the options are forward or back, left or right, and then maybe the players will throw out some kind of extravagant, ooh, loads of new goodies. So, ooh, piece of candy. And yeah, so whilst the players might be able to surprise you with like a magic item that you forgot that they had, or something along those lines, like, generally speaking, the outcome is still going to be what you expected it to be. 9 times out of 10, the players are going to win the fight, they're going to find the treasure, etc, etc. So it's relatively easy to prep for a number of you know, outcomes, but in Blades, everything is so narratively driven, and, you know, retconning is baked directly into the system. You can really be caught off guard, which is good. Which is good. I mean, thankfully, you know, because everything is kind of like timey-wimey, you're able to like react and offer new situations, new scenarios. And there's a few points we'll come back to in a bit, where you can really pretend you're engaging big brain mode, and like there's a roll of a dice, and what am I trying to do with this arm? Like a roll of a dice, and you think, oh, okay, so there's like a complication that I've got to cater for. But then there's so many things happening that it's quite easy to tie things in. A bit like the Victor Campaign 1 plot twist. That seemed like we were able to kind of retcon that to be like, oh, that happened from day one, whereas actually, as we discussed in the kind of debrief, it was actually a very last minute addition. What am I doing with this hand? Is it tucked in? Maybe it's tucked in. But yeah, you have the ability to kind of roll with it a lot more easily, and things like conflict resolution happens quite quickly as well. So you're able, you know, for better or worse, sometimes in something like in a D20 game, it might feel like you know, the party's going on a bit of a tangent, and sometimes you want them to just kind of crack on with what it was they were doing. From what I gather, a lot of the third season of Campaign 3, and one of the major criticisms of Campaign 3 of Critical Role is that there's a lot of player stuff, and the critters are now kind of clamouring for campaign stuff. So it feels like you want to be pushing to that more and more often, but Blades just kind of lets you roll with it, lets you go off on a tangent, and it still very quickly, very easily ties back in with like the main plot. So that's nice. I feel like make her a more slight. Okay, there we go. We need a standing upright. Very good posture. Too good a posture. Yeah, it's I guess the one big difference that I know is going to take a while for me to get used to is because there's a lot of like complications. Like, generally speaking, every time you know, instead of rolling a d20, you roll a handful of d6s, depending, and the number depends on like how good you are or what it is you're trying to do, the circumstances, etc., etc. And like, you just look at the highest number. So obviously, the more dice you roll, the more likely you are to get the result that you want. But you only do it without complication on a 6. Like on a 1 to 3, it's a complication, on a bad complication. On a 4 to 5, if your highest roll is a 4 to 5, then it's a success with a complication, and then yeah, on a 6 you just kind of do it. But then every time you roll a complication, like something new, generally speaking, is being added to the mix. Something that didn't exist before you rolled that 4 or 5 or 1 to 3. So like, sometimes it's difficult to gauge how long things are going to be, which is a concern when you are uploading onto a YouTube channel and you sort of trying to keep to time. But like, you want, like, on the one hand, keeping to time is great, but on the other, you don't want to skip on anything, because generally speaking, when poop hits the fan, that's where the exciting stuff tends to happen. Like, as the stakes just ratchet higher and higher and higher. But that's where the conflict comes in. That's when the drama comes in. So yeah, you want to like that. That's a good bit. And what we really noticed, well, when I really noticed it, was when we went into our first downtime, because there's like a game loop cycle. So after you do a job, you have like everyone going back to base and like relaxing, and the consequences of what happened on the run then begin to rear their heads. So there's a system called entanglement. So based on how like noisy you were during your run, based on like what your wanted level is like amongst the city guard and so on, like various different complications after the job can arise. And some of them are relatively quick, so relatively low key. Others are pretty intense. There's an actual play podcast for Blades in the Dark that I've been listening to as a bit of inspiration called The Magpies. Clever Corvid podcasts, I believe. I've found them on like Google Podcasts. I was listening to one of their runs, and like it was a pretty intense run, like a pretty intense mission, and they managed to get away with it. They but relatively scot-free, but because it was a hot mission, like there was a lot of heat after the fact, as they were driving back, because they're in a capital city with like cars, Industrial Revolution cars and that. One of the players just gets plugged with a sniper rifle. And then like as the car swerves and they all kind of bail out and they're trying to stop this, stop their friend bleeding out on the back seat. And then like through the fog, illuminated by the headlights, are two silhouettes, and it's these assassins. So like in the moment, like if it was D&D, it'd be like, oh, we're heading back to the village to hand it in to the wizard that asked us to do this thing. It's just like, oh, but you get jumped. It's the equivalent of like having an encounter during a long rest in D&D or Pathfinder. And that, I mean, that's really fun, because it means you always really kind of have to be on your toes, but at the same time, it's an unexpected quantity. And I guess if you were to be running this off of YouTube, then that's fine. But it just means that oh, you thought you were finished? Think again. And I guess offline, it'd be a bit of a if this were to happen around a table between friends, it'd just be like, okay, cool, we'll just pick this up next time we meet up, like next week or whatever. But yeah, it's just trying my best to be flexible enough to react to all of that. I mean, if you've only ever played D20 games, I think it would really behoove you to like give it a go, like give a non-D20 system a go. And I guess the midway point would be something like Dungeon World, like a Powered by the Apocalypse system, because that's still got the sort of like the time straightness of a D20 game, but you also get like that narrative complication baked into it naturally, because you're rolling 2d6 and it only goes well on a 10 or more. But being really kind of leaning into that, okay, you succeeded, however, and then just kind of pushing on with that. Who am I going to do next? Oh, I haven't done the marionettes. Let's do the marionettes. What am I doing? Let's do one of these. Oh, really showing you behind the scenes, aren't I? Let's grab these two beautiful creatures. Open. There we go. Oh. What am I doing? Okay, save that. Heroes. Let's go. Open copy. That's what I want to do. Do I want? I can make one of them. Okay, cool. Right, who are they? I know who they are. Okay, so let's just strip them down to their skivvies. Can't make sure I don't get demonetized. One of those, and then I reckon I do. Let's put a base under him. Boop. And then let's kill him off. And then we'll go back to heroes. And let's grab who haven't I grabbed? Who haven't I grabbed? Let's grab a wolfkin. Yeah, let's grab you. Import. Nope, no, not that. Wait, maybe? I want to do this. And then I want to go import. Boom. Then we're going to make him stand up. Oh, I'll take the old head. Oh no! Oh no! Dead. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment, Carl. You say surgeon, I say over obsessed. So let's go. What am I? So who are they? What poses do I want? Let's go for this pose. And then we'll spin him. Do, 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 do. A little bit forward. A little bit to the side. Yeah. And then come back. And then we're going to wham, push her out to the side. Cool. Right. So if are we on the main? We've got a new head. Who is this? Let's go. I reckon a hood. Hood will be a good shout. If we chuck this on there first. Why the heels? Why always with the heels? So impractical. I mean, this was a terrible start. What else is the one thing? I guess one. It's not a criticism. It's something I've just kind of picked up on. Something I've noticed. Is that obviously we're running Blaze in the Dark, but we're not running it in the Blaze in the Dark setting. So Blaze in the Dark normally takes place in a city called Duskwall, and the general kind of gist of the whole setting, like world setting, is that oops, we killed the sun. There is, and it's just like eternal night. And like basically the gates to hell were broken down. So all the souls of the damned are like flying about, and the sun's gone out and everyone's huddled in the darkness. And then there's these massive like electrical bubbles over the various cities. But it is very much like a world setting. Duskwall is a city that you tend to spend a lot of time in, but there are other cities that are connected by like a train line. So I can imagine like a very, very cool idea would be like, oh, you're on a train that's kind of got this electric generator, this like lightning shield generator that protects it as it hurtles across this kind of devastated, ghost infested landscape. It's really, really cool. Like, It's and like the electricity, like the lightning fields, are powered by the blood of like demons, and you've got these ships full of absolute like insane mad lads called like Leviathan hunters, and they're these like huge sea beasts, and they hunt them down and like harvest their bits and bobs for food and power and whatnot. It's a bit like Doom Eternal meets Dishonored. Yeah, there you go. It's a very good version of Dishonored. Like, the setting is hardcore. It is metal AF. Really, really cool. And everything kind of, a lot of the mechanics are baked directly into that setting, which can be a bit problematic, especially if you want to play outside of Duskfall. What do I want to do with her? So I'm just gonna let's go maybe this one. Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah. Cool, let's do that, and then let's give her a hood, because I feel the marionettes would always have hoods. What's a Seeker hood look like with that? Oh no! Executioner hood? No, I'm not digging that. But yeah, it means, like, because so much of it is inherently ingrained in Duskfall lore, like Blades in the Dark lore, it's like you have to do a lot of rewriting, and you have to do it like to set it in a different setting. You have to do a lot of rewrites, but you also have to be very particular about like what mechanics you're upsetting by changing the lore, for example. On the plus side, it means you really do kind of drill into the ins and outs of your world setting. I had to ask myself a lot of questions about Elysia in order to, like, in piecing it all together, kind of thing. So that's handy, I suppose. That is like an unintentional benefit. I don't like the top, I've decided. Maybe I do like the top. Maybe it's the pose. Is it the pose that's upsetting me? Where's the cross-legged one? Where is the cross-legged one? There it is. Yeah. And I guess it's good. Sorry, the lore being so kind of ingrained, I guess it is good, given that like that rule book, like the Blades in the Dark rule book, is pretty much like a one-stop shop. Like everything you might need, all contained within there, and we're talking about sort of like in-depth dives on like the gangs and the districts, and like who runs what, and who likes who, and who doesn't like who. I could imagine that someone might look at it and be like, "Oh, this is too much." So in a way, I'm kind of thankful that I was able to ignore, not ignore, but bypass quite a lot of it. Yeah, that was quite handy. Just kind of pull out the bits I needed and go with that. Is that the pose? What's she doing? She'd probably have a dagger or something, wouldn't she? But yeah, I reckon if you were looking to do a proper, like, by the book Blades in the Dark campaign, it might feel a bit overwhelming initially. Let's do that, and then let's flip it. Yeah. Bam. I know what I can do. Let's go to head. Let's go to mouth, and we go. Boom, boom. The cat cam is in play. Yeah, there she is. An eternal source of entertainment. Oh, thank you. Thank you. The result of banging my head against it for a very, very long time. Maybe it is the top I don't like. Oh, maybe maybe she needs a coat. Does she need a coat? Coat. Anyone? Coat. So, 45 minutes of me waffling. Nutshell. Yeah, I think it is fun. It is fun. It's definitely a different. It's a definite change of pace to D&D. But like anyone that's wanting like a change, I do sometimes get the feeling that there might be people that are feeling burnt out with D&D, especially with everything that kind of happened in 2023 regarding like D&D and all that sort of stuff. I would reckon that some people who think, we need something new, will still carry on doing D&D. Just like, maybe we need a different campaign setting. Maybe we need a different DM. But I would suggest maybe you just need a new system. And learning, like we've all, like between the 6 of us that are part of campaign 2, only 2 had like played Blades in the Dark ever before we did this campaign. Like we did a test run for sure, but only 2 had any prior kind of experience. So it is quite nice kind of learning it together. That has been quite nice, like a nice little journey. And in a way, hopefully, from a viewer perspective, hopefully it'd be quite nice to see us learn it. And I think it'd be interesting if I do another one of these in the future, like when we come to the end of campaign 2, maybe like if this is my initial thoughts on it, like on the system, would it be like, I wonder how I'd feel about it in 20 sessions time. Oh my god, if I could export stuff to Blender, I would just be lost. I'd just be lost to the Hero Forge, wouldn't I? Okay, what I'm gonna do is bring this arm up, and then we're gonna. I think it is the pose that's upsetting me. Right, if we, what? Yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. Okay, and then we spin up. Yeah, I have a very strong suspicion that campaign 2 is gonna be a lot more story driven than campaign 1, which in a way I feel kind of says quite a lot like positive, in a positive way. What hand do I want? I think I need this hand. But yeah, sorry, it's going to be a lot more kind of narratively driven, mainly just because like the kind of core mechanics of Blades focus on, like, Blades in the Dark is about the crew, like it is about the players, which seems like odd to say, but like a lot of the drama is on, it feels like on a crew level. Like if this were, say, like when you think about Peaky Blinders, for example, as a TV show, as daft as it sounds for me to say it, like, it is about the Peaky Blinders. It is about the relationships between like Tommy and his brothers, or Tommy and Alfie, or etc, etc, etc. And like they'll get themselves into scrapes, they'll get themselves into situations, but it feels like it always kind of comes back to, how does this affect us as a unit? How do we as a gang carry on from this? So yeah, like I suppose also, you know, like something like Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad wasn't ever really about you know, the flourishing drug empire that Heisenberg puts together. It's about the fall of Walter White, and that's what makes it really kind of narratively compelling. And I think that's kind of what that is what Blades feels like it's going to do best. So I think it'd be interesting to see just how. Oh, that doesn't look right at all, does it? Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what comes of our crew. Once all said and done, because the roster is also kind of more mutable than it might be in a D&D setup. But yeah, what am I trying to do with this mask? I'm trying to get her, like she's pulling it up, I think, but maybe that's a bit. Maybe they're a bit too ham-fisted in Hero Forge. It looks like she's just punching herself in the face. Okay, change the tact. I'm gonna drop her posture. Andor, yeah. Absolutely right. Like, that is I personally, I think, if you haven't watched Andor, which is like the prequel to Star Wars Rogue One, very, very, very much recommend you watch it. I think, yeah, just because I think it is the best Star Wars, you know, release. I'm gonna say ever. I'm gonna say it. Like the films of well, obviously the original trilogy. The sequels and the prequels of the sequels and the prequels. But what I really loved about like Rogue One, and what I loved even more with something like Andor, is that it was about the people that were in the normal people that were in the situations that were heinous, but in the films kind of just get chopped up into bits with lightsabers. Like, and there's that raw connection that you have on a personal level. Hopefully season 2 will be a fire caliber, absolutely. Like, you came to care about Andor. You came to care about Martha. You came to care about, hell, even the police guy whose name I can't remember. And that's what I'm hoping Blades in the Dark will help us kind of achieve with campaign 2. Like, I'm really hoping that we'll become truly invested in 5 fundamentally flawed characters, like troubled people, or people with troubles, trouble people, however you want to look at it. And so, like, you know, it was compelling when you see Walter White making bad choices, because you always kind of wonder, how is this gonna pan out? And that's what I hope we'll have with campaign 2. A smorgasbord of terrible choices, which may or may not lead to their untimely demises. Compelling stuff. I've completely lost the plot with this. You know what? I'm just not going to bother with her for now. I'm going to switch to him. Okay, let's give him a different face. You! Oh, that looks like a... Oh, let's thinking about it. Oh, I changed the wrong face, didn't I? Oh! Update you. Whoop! Stern face. Yeah. Yes, hopefully you'll be able to decide for yourselves. I'm hoping, I'm working towards episode 1 releasing this Sunday. I'm confident. I reckon I can do it. I don't see why not. Easy peasy. Be fine. It'll be fine. I wish I could be a cat sometimes. Ever since the radiators came on, that has been her favouriteest place ever. Yeah, it's... So, to summarise, I feel like it captures that heist... Blades in the Dark captures that kind of heist energy by allowing your players... like quite handily with the flashback system, which allows your players to redefine the present by changing the past. And that really kind of pushes the whole we know what we're doing angle. And it keeps things exciting for the players, but also the GM, because I don't know at any given point what flashbacks the players are going to throw into the mix to overcome situations in the present. So I can imagine myself pulling a lot of like shocked Pikachu faces based off their flashbacks, which is something I'm very, very, very much looking forward to. If you're playing stock Blades in the Dark, on the one hand, it will be really handy to have the rulebook because it is so comprehensive. But at the same time, I suspect that it could run the risk of feeling a bit overwhelming. I guess I would hasten to suggest that perhaps you might not need to learn all of the stuff in a rulebook. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think I've actually fully read all of the Wizards of the Coast in like Dungeon Masters guides. Like, if you need it, you'll read it. Like, if you need to read up about it. But the game is so kind of focused in on the players that a lot of the time, what you're all collectively doing is rolling with the punches and rolling with the punches. Yeah, both ways. Like what the players throw at you, what you throw at the players. And yeah, it's a wildly like I enjoy it because it's a wildly different pace to like D20 systems, because the narrative feels significantly more, like deliberately more focused on the player characters as player characters, rather than, you know, I feel like with a lot of D20s, it's like you are playing a player character, and like the plot is an additional character. So your PCs are kind of sharing the limelight with the plot. But with something like Blades in the Dark, the plot can be fundamentally like a background thing, always kind of giving way center stage to what it is that the crew want to do. Fundamentally because you can play it like a criminal empire simulator, choosing what jobs you want to do, where you want to do them, who you want to do them for, figuring out why you want to do them, deciding what long-term projects you want to run to improve what you're going to do in the future, etc, etc, etc. Like, as a GM, it almost feels like I do less prep for a Blades session, because it can be so much more heavily player driven. But yeah, those are my 3 kind of initial thoughts. It's a good hour to run through it. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts for Blades in the Dark. I'm very interested to see how I feel about it. Like, if I change my mind, if new things come to light over the space of 20 episodes. Very, very much looking forward to answering kind of those questions. So I suspect in the debrief, or around about the debrief, I might do another video that talks about it. But yes, thank you. I'm really hungry, so I'm probably gonna go grab some food. Thank you all for watching. Whether it's live or in the hopefully not too war-torn future. I am DN Dan. This here is Daisy. She had a lot to add to this discussion. If you're interested in what it is I've been rambling about for the last hour, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications when we release new stuff, because campaign 2 is due to release very, very, very soon, and that will be the combination of all of this work that I've been doing over the past God knows how long. But we're all very excited to start, and we're all very excited to showcase it to you. So yeah, thank you once again. I'll see you later. Bye.